Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. In this tutorial, we are going to make this very adorable hedgehog. Now, wait till you see him turned around and see the other side. It's equally as cute. And friends, we are going to use our 46 or our 48 needle machines. It doesn't really matter which one. And you will use those machines for the little parts as well. And we are going to use Pound of Love in white, and we're going to use Loops and Threads Faux Fur in the color Husky. Now, I do manipulate this faux fur to work in the machine, so you will see that when we get to that part, and you're going to be thrilled with it because I'm going to take your yarn and give you 3 times the amount that you have. So you can do it, and it's fun, and it's going to make for a beautiful project. So join me as we make this adorable hedgehog. You know what, if you are following my channel, if you've been a part of my community for a long time and you love the patterns that I bring to you, I would ask that you would consider hitting that Buy Me a Coffee link or the PayPal link and help support my channel. I'll be honest with you, it takes just a lot of time and energy and resources to make a channel like this work. And of course, I will follow that up by saying that I do it out of joy, and I'm happy to do it for free for you. But if you would like to support my channel and help me out in that way, I would appreciate that too. So thanks again for joining me. I hope that you make a hedgehog. And friends, something new to me is that there is a community tab on my channel. You can click on that tab and you can post your work, and you can communicate with me and with others in the community tab on YouTube. Who knew? All right, so thanks for checking that out too, and for being a part of my yarn family. I love and appreciate you all. Have fun with your project. Can't wait to see. I have my 46 needle Addi all ready to go, and I'm using Pound of Love yarn in white, and we're going to begin by bringing that last white and the first black needle in line with our yarn feeder, and I'm going to cast on by going in front of that first black, behind the next, in front and behind, all the way around, and I'm just letting that yarn slip through my fingers. I'm not putting any extra tension on it. And we're going to come around, and before we get to the end, I'm going to set my row counter to 0, get it ready to go. The next row will be row 1. And there it is, behind the last white and into the yarn feeder it goes. Now I hold my yarn between my fingers like this. There's very little tension at the base of my 2 fingers there. And if I want to have a little bit more tension, I'll move it up just a little bit. But I prefer to use my fingers rather than the tensioner that you can pop in here. I do use it sometimes, but not very often. Because I think I have more control of the yarn, and I can feel what's happening coming out of the cake or the skein. So that's what I do. I'm going to slowly do the first round. So with very light tension on my fingers. And you want to slowly do your first round because you want to make sure those loops are going down over the red teeth. And sometimes they don't slide down there as fast and easily as you want them to because there's no weight on your project. And so we're going to go slow, making sure that it connects and everything does its job the way it's supposed to. And then I'm going to do the same thing for round 2. Casting on loosely like that and knitting the first 2 rows slowly are what are the 2 things that are going to give you success in your cast on rows, because so many times people say that they have a lot of trouble casting on. It splits between these red teeth, or you get tuck stitches, etc. And that's because you're going too fast. You need to start out slowly for the first few rounds, and then you find the tension and the speed that works well with your machine. Now, as I'm talking to you and I'm turning my handle, I'm watching right here to make sure that those loops are going down over the red teeth. And if they are, and the needle is picking up this yarn strand here at the speed that I'm going, then I know I can continue at that speed. If I have a loop that stays up on the needle, it's going to prevent it. It's going to make a tucked stitch, and that means you're knitting too fast. You got to slow it down, give it time to get over those red teeth, down the needle and over those red teeth. This yarn works really well in my machine, so I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to have any problems. I'm just going to maintain this speed and this tension, and I'm going to knit for 100 rows. However, once my project starts to touch the table, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what I do with it at that point. When our work starts to touch the table, like it's touched for a couple of rows now, but you don't want to go any further because as you keep knitting, it's going to start bunching up like this. And when it does that, you're going to have a loose tension on the inside of your barrel, and it's the tighter tension that helps to pull these loops down over the red teeth. And you might risk dropping a loop off your red teeth. But more so, it's about the tension. You want to make sure that your tension remains even throughout your project. So you're going to pick your center up and you're going to just roll it over on itself into a donut. Just like that, and that helps to keep the tension tight around the inside of the barrel and gives you success. And if you were to be doing a really long piece, of course, you would just keep rolling it up every 20 or 30 rolls, however, or 15 even. Whenever you feel the need to roll it, yeah, we'll roll it. I think I'll roll it one more time probably before I get to row 100. And then when I get there, I'll meet you back. I have made it to row 100. So now what I want to do is I want to cut off a tail that is long enough to go around my barrel 1.5 to 2 times. If you've done this a bazillion times like I have, you can just estimate it, but about 1.5 to 2 times. Then you're going to take it out of your yarn guide. Sorry, I did that a little too fast. If you're a beginner, let me put that back. It's like that. You're going to take it out. You're going to pop this strand between the last white and the first black because you still have to finish knitting these 2 needles. Make sure you always close your latch because if you turn your handle, the needles will knock against the lid there and it's going to break it. So your strand goes between the last white and the first black. Feed that down into the center. Grab your needle. And we're going to cast off. You're going to hold this tail and you're going to turn your handle. Now you see that these 2 just finished knitting. This first needle went down, so that loop is ready to take off. Go ahead and grab that, pull through. Once we get a few off, then we will rotate our handle more so that we have more free needles or free loops. I'll show you in a second, but we need to get some slack on here. So I'm going to pick that one, turn. As soon as that needle drops down, that loop is ready to come off. Pull through. Now that you have some slack on here, you can do a few at a time. Now keep in mind that all of these are ready to come off. So if you pull up too hard on this, then this next one's going to jump off and it's going to start unraveling your row. So pull out to the side, don't pull up. And once you get the correct tension and the feel of how to do this, then you just take one off, pull it with your thumb lightly, or go over this divider, but really close to it, and pick up the next one. The next one, don't lift your needle too high or you'll bring that loop right off those red teeth. And you just continue. And we're going to remove all the loops. And one at a time means that this needle is holding that next loop and it's not gonna drop on you. There we go. I have my piece off the machine. All right, so here it is off the machine. We're going to unroll it once I take this needle off. We're going to unroll it. Maybe I should also remove this so that you can see against the gray. White on white probably isn't so good. And we're going to give it a stretch gently, widthwise, and then lengthwise. Bit of a tension issue there, so I'm going to make sure that that is on the inside of my piece. So let's go ahead, take one end, smooth it out at the top, and pull it tight. We're going to go ahead and put that onto our needle. And I'm just going to go around the top layer of stitches just one time, just to reinforce it a little bit. Oops. And a little bit more. Give that a tug. I'm going to tie one little knot to secure. Push that down with my thumbnail just like that as it tightens. Then we're going to put your hand inside, pop that needle in through the center, grab the needle and pinch the end and bring it through. So now we have it in half. I'm going to pull that out. This one can be trimmed. I'm going to take that other side and we're going to do the same thing. If there's one side that is better than the other, that other side had some funny stitches, so I'm going to leave that on the inside, and now we have our piece that looks like this. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to hide our tails. So I'm going to pop that in between the two layers, cut it off, and there we go. Again, I'm going to smooth the inside out so that I have the exact base there. Have it in half the way it needs to be. And we're going to go ahead and you're going to put a strand of yarn on your needle that goes around your, goes around your piece 1.5 times at least. All right, we're going to bring that edge up like that, and I'm going to go underneath a stitch, over a stitch, under, over, under. We're putting a drawstring in the base here. So we're just picking up those end stitches so that we can tighten it, but we're not going to tighten it until we put, we're going to stuff it, of course, and we're going to add our safety eyes. If you're going to use just yarn to make the eyes, that's great too. And if you need some help with that because you don't want to use safety eyes or you don't have them, then just go to my animal playlist on my channel and look at the animals that are on there and choose the eyes that you like, because I've got several that have yarn eyes rather than safety eyes, and do it that way. I'm just going to get underneath this one here. There we go. And now I have my drawstring to close that end when it comes time to do so. I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. Now you need to grab one more because we are going to put our body in half doing the same thing. So here's what I do. I just take my one end and I fold it in half, press down just so I can get a visual right here as to where the center is. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick up one stitch, go over one stitch, under one stitch, over, under, trying to stay on that same row all the way around. Smooth it out just like this. It's hard to see on white, but there we go. You'll know when you get to the other end how far up or how far down you went, and then you might have to pull it back a little bit just to get it back on track. That's looking pretty straight. So under a stitch, over a stitch, under, over, under, all the way around. I'll meet you when you get to the other end where you started. There we go. I'm coming around, and surprisingly enough, I didn't have to pull it out. Generally, I will have to go back because I go off track. But if you've stayed on the same row or thereabouts, if you stayed on the same row, you should be one row higher. I'm matching this, so I went off just a very little bit. Because we knit in the circular, every row goes up one, but this is close enough for me. So if you're one up or one down or just right on here, you're close enough. All right, so I've got my center strand for cinching all ready to cinch when I need to. I'm going to just make those even because it's easier to work with. And we're going to then grab our fiber fill and we're going to begin stuffing our piece. So I like to just pull it apart and then stuff. And I'm going to stuff this until it's evenly stuffed. I take my time, so I'm not going to stay on camera. So it's evenly stuffed, and I'm not going to have it so stuffed that my rows are coming apart like that. I want this to be firm, but I want my rows to be nice and straight, just like that. And I'm going to stuff all the way down, and then I like to just roll it around and play with it to get that stuffing nice and evenly distributed. And it takes me a while, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, take my time on it, and I'll meet you back when I have it done. All right, so I think that's good. And you know what? I decided to use the button eyes. These are sew-on, they're called button eyes, mushroom eyes, sorry. So button mushroom eyes. Oh my word. So those are what I'm going to use. And so I put those on after everything is closed up. But if you were going to use safety eyes that you have to attach the inside, here's where you would do it now. You would, once we tighten our body here, then you would determine where you want your eyes to be. So I'm going to take these two here. So I'll turn it once, then twice. Sometimes I even do it 3 times. Then it holds better to get the second knot in there. So about like that. So it's not too, and then I always give it a little twist. It's not too defined, but it's there. And then there we go. Now you can see that I have what I call the hills there and the valleys here from doing my neck. So I always take my yarn strand. I hope you didn't cut yours too short. I think I might have. I'm going to have to meet in the middle here. But I always take that yarn tail now and I go over the hills, under the valleys. And I do the opposite. And I get a beautiful neck. Over the hill, under the valley. Take a look at this now and then I'll show you what it's going to look like later. Over this hill part, under, over, under. It's very quick to do, but makes such a difference. That attention to detail is not something you want to miss out on. So you can spread this apart a little bit to get under there if you need to. And there we go. And I'll go halfway. Oops, keeps falling out. I'm going to go halfway, then I'm going to put the other one on. I'm going to do the opposite and meet in the middle, and then I'll meet you back. All right, friends, now take a look at that neck. Like it's perfect. It's beautiful. So I tied off in a firm knot, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide my tail. Then I already closed up my top of my head a little bit there, but it needs to be tighter. So I'm going to pop these yarn strands on my needle. And I'm going to go around the top of my piece just like this. And I'm going to tighten this until it's closed. I'm going to tie off a knot, hide my end, and I'll meet you back. All right, friends, are you ready for some fun? We're going to do the fuzzy part of our piece, and I'm using Loops and Threads Faux Fur. Now this color is called Husky and it's a super bulky 6. I've taken it out of the package because I've reworked it. It is a bulky 6, which is too thick for our machine. Now sometimes it's rated that way because these fur flex kind of dealies here are, you know, they're longer, and so it makes it a bulky yarn, but yet it's something that's very soft and should go through the machine. Now, if you feel the center core of it, the center strand, it's not very thick. So I thought this was going to work, and I took my chances. I thought I'm going to just buy it and see what happens because I think it's going to be perfect for this project. But there's no stretch in it at all. And what I come to realize is that it was too strong for my machine, too thick for my machine. So what I did is I took that strand and I cut about a 10 to 12 foot length, and then I took it apart like this. There are 3 strands in there. This is so easy to take apart. It's just like twisted around each other. So I had this hanging over I have about a 10-foot strand, maybe a little bit longer, and I have it hanging over the edge of my staircase. Going downstairs, I have a banister and it hung downstairs. And so then when I put my fingers through here, this would just automatically untwist. I can't do it here in the camera because it's not dry, it's not hanging. It would just untwist. Well, you can see it's untwisting just like that. So then you would grab it here. So if you don't have a staircase, then just lift this up to free it a little bit. Then stick your fingers in there and go down a little bit further. Now, if you have help, that would work too. But you can do this with generally no issues. It just takes a little bit of patience. But hey, we are crafters and we're creators. If we have to take a little extra time, then so be it, right? if we want what we want. Here is one cake and here's another. And so I would do like 10 to 12 feet of yarn, untwist it, then I would tie a real tight knot and cut it off close to the knot. And this is what I got. And we're gonna see how it works together in the machine. I have not tried it without you because, let me just get a center pull here. Because generally, I think I might have mentioned this in the beginning of the video, I may not have. I generally will figure out a pattern, then I'll make one, and then I'll tweak it and make it again for a video. This particular one, I wrote it out and decided I'm not going to make one ahead of time. I'm going to make it with you. And so I have not used this single strand in here. I did the triple strand and it was too hard in my machine and I didn't want to break it, my needle. So or wreck my handle. So I decided this is what I got to do. I got to take it apart and I think it's great. I'm getting 3 times the amount of yarn, literally. So we're going to take this and we're going to do a drawstring cast on, and we're going to make sure that you just let that slip through your fingers. No extra tension. There is no stretch to this. It's not like our acrylic yarn that we generally use in our machine that has some stretch. This has no stretch, so you have to baby it. All right. Now you might find a fur or another, another yarn that you prefer to use, and that's great too. Make sure you put it in the comments under this video as to what yarn you used. And you know what? I did this wrong because I'm talking to you. If I would have done this right, this last white one would have had it behind. So I'm just going to keep talking because I'm going to tell you, those of you who have followed me for a while now know that I do not have a Facebook group anymore. But I just recently found out, literally yesterday actually, but I don't know when you're watching this video, so it's not going to be yesterday when you watch this, but that there is a community tab on my YouTube channel and you can post your pictures there, your work there, and we can talk. It's like having a Facebook group, but only it's on my YouTube channel. So like, it's perfect. I have been so excited about it. Actually, I can't even believe it. One of my members, there was a comment in one of my videos, and she said, I finished this, I wish I could show you. And she was missing the Facebook group, and I said, I wish I could see it too. I miss all of you guys as well. And I said, I'm sorry, but there's no way to show me unless you post it in other groups, and then I eventually see it when I feel like I'm ready to go back onto that dreaded Facebook. So anyways, set your row counter to 0. A community member came on and she said, no, there's a community tab and you can post there. I had no idea. 3 years of YouTube, I had no clue. I am not holding this. I'm just letting it feed on its own. And we're going to go like this. So I am so thrilled about that. So post your projects from my channel only in the community tab and keep up with the chats there. You want to make sure that there is no tension coming out of your ball. So out of your cakes, I rewound this into cakes as I showed you. Pull it through because this is winding as it's spiraling as it's feeding in. So you want to make sure there is no tension at all. And my goodness, this is working like a dream. It is worth the effort to pull the strands apart, in my humble opinion. Mind you, I like stuff like that, so I don't shy away from something that takes a little bit more effort. Oh, now that one seems like it's going to be stuck a little bit. I am not going to, what happened? Oh, because here's where I tied my knot. If it's fighting you, don't push it. There's a knot there. That's where I tied my 2 strands. Take it out, close that gate, feed it by hand until it gets past the knot. Then put it back in. And when you put it in this big slot. There's a slot right there. Put it in there. I don't think I had it in there, but that's where it should go because it's thick. And continue on. Now hold it with your fingers, but don't put any stress on it, tension on it. Hold it with your fingers only so that you can feel that knot that I missed there because I wasn't holding it. And we are going to knit 60 rows. All right, friends, I am just stopping at this point to measure the piece. Now, I have 41 rows done. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to measure. I'm going to pop it in there so you can see. Here's the top. I'm going to go as though this was the front of the head. I'm going to go down about 2 inches. And that's where I'm going to start measuring. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to see how long this is. It's about 15 inches. So I want my piece here to be about 15 inches. That's approximately what I need it to be. I'm going to go a little bit longer, maybe 16 inches, so that it wraps around the front as well. So yeah, that's what we'll do. 16 inches. Now, if I take this and I give it a stretch, I'm at 11.5 inches, all right? And I've done 41 rows. So I'm going to keep going. I did notice here that like I was feeling around like this and pushing just to make sure that I had no dropped rows. And I actually had 2 dropped stitches here. And so I picked them up and used my crochet hook to hook them up. And I don't have to go any farther. I just went as far as there. But I'm going to show you a little trick that you should be doing that I didn't show you before. I realized this is probably why I had those 2 dropped stitches. When you have a knot, let's just say there's a knot here. I take this out. Make sure that this doesn't slip out from that needle first. You want to make sure that that one is knit. Then you get past your knot. And when you go to put this back, let me get past these black needles. When you get past your knot and you want to go back in, rather than just tuck it in like this, which is what I was doing, and then it could miss this stitch. You see that row there? That's not getting completely under the nook of the needle. What you should do is bring this forward, go under that red divider that's in front of the yarn guide, then into your yarn guide. Then you know for sure that it's set up to be successful on this needle. That's likely what happened. That's likely where I dropped those 2 stitches. All right, so when you are putting it back in, go underneath that red divider and that will help you. All right, so I'm going to keep going until I'm done and then I'll meet you back. All right, I am on row 56 and I'm going to lift this. Oh, you guys, this would make such a nice neck warmer. I'm going to stretch it and loosely measure it. I'm at 15.5. I'm just going to do 3 more rows for good measure. Just because I could stop now, but I'm going to do 3 more rows. And once I get to the black needles right here, we are going to cut our yarn tail, open our machine. We're going to put that in the center and we're going to grab some acrylic yarn to bind off with. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece that goes around my barrel 1.5 to 2 times. I think it'll be easier to do it with this than it will to do it with this yarn. So we're going to just switch it. I'm going to hold that so that I can knit those 2. And then I'm going to rotate my barrel. You can cast off the way I cast it off for the body. Might be smart with this yarn. I might regret having done this. And I got to this needle before I shouldn't have gone this far. I usually only go to here, but when I'm talking to you, sometimes I forget what I'm doing. If this needle would have popped up before I took it off, I would have dropped that row. Because this yarn is finicky, I'm going to put my finger over the next one. So there we go. I'm going to pull through. I'm going to put my finger over this next one because all these are live and ready to come off. I'm going to pick off that one, then that one, then that one. And I'm going to go slowly as I do this because I don't want to drop one of these because they're very hard to find the row to pick up on. And through. I'm going to turn my handle just a little bit. And we're going to continue on. Pull through. Once you're through the black needles, then you can just use your fingers and push the red part of the barrel and turn it without having to go to the handle. I'll show you again. So I'm just using my fingers and I'm going to bring this around. And I'm going to remove all of my stitches. I have it off the machine. And I'm going to stretch it like normal. Now, it doesn't matter what side you choose because they're both beautiful, but I want to find that stitch marker here and show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up on it. I'm going to take my crochet hook. I generally use a 5mm one. I'm going to get it into that loop, which is hard to do because it's so fuzzy, but there we go. Then I can take that out. And it's funny because it's not dropping any further down. So if it was dropping all the way down, I don't know how come, but maybe it was just a loopy of a stitch and it wasn't really a, oh wait, there's a row. So I'm gonna just feel my way up, grab the bar. Just like that, bring it through the loop that's on my hook. And then I'm going to, generally you have to do it all the way up, but it must have tucked a stitch or something and caught it there. Oh, no, the more I pull on it, the more it's coming. So let's get in there. Do the best you can to find those little bars, just feeling with my thumb and my finger. It's easy to feel actually. And I'm going to take it all the way to the top. There we go. There's one more that's right there. That's as easy as it is. And I'm going to take a strand of this yarn, put it on my needle. Then I'm going to pick up that loop, take out my hook, and I'm just going to go in there and make a bit of a knot. You can't see it because of the fuzziness of this yarn, so it's really quite easy to fix. So I've picked up that loop. I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to cut this off. And there we go. There's our piece. We're going to now take the one end and we're going to pull it. I'm scared that's gonna, well, it's not easily breakable, but it's just hard to do because it's, oh, there we go. Use your hand and kind of swirl it around this way, but I'm not going to do it all the way. So I can stick my wrist in there pretty much. I want it to be a little bit angled, but I don't want to close it completely. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on my needle. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the end here and then pick up the end here. The nice thing about this is you don't have to be fancy with it because you can't see the stitches. And I'm just going to very lightly close it, very simply close it. So I'm using my finger to guide me across there so I can feel the top, picking up the top, going across, picking up the top, going across, and I'm just going to close it off. Just like that. Don't cut off your strand when you're done though, because if it's long enough, we'll use it for sewing. If it's not, well, we'll just attach another one. But I'm just going to finish this to the end. I'm gonna make a loop, tie off in a knot, and there we go. We have our edge that's closed. It's so easy to do. I'm going to leave that like that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it on this side now. I'm going to pull on this one. We can tighten these two together later, but I'm going to just get the general idea of how wide that was, just a little bit wider than my wrist. I'm going to tie these two together. Tuck that inside. You can tuck this other one inside too if you want. And then I'm just going to use this one. And I'm going to sew it the exact same way. So I'm going to just, first of all, take this out to the side. And we're going to close it up the same way. So I'm just going to pick up on this side, pick up on that side, and go across. All right, so I did test this to see if it would go through here, and it does. And so I would prefer to use this than the acrylic yarn. And so I'm gonna, it's got a pretty solid cord there, so it's not going to break. All right, so we're going to take our piece and we're going to, here's the head, top of the head. You're going to lay this on here so that this comes, here's the center right here, so that this comes over the top and onto the head like that. All right, so we're going to take that. Then I'm going to just literally take my needle and I'm going to go in. I'm going to pick up on the edge. Pick up on the edge there. And make sure you stick with me because we're not going to just simply sew this all the way around. We've got to fill it. All right, so we're going to go in, but it's just a joy to sew this. I can tell you that right already, because you don't have to be careful. Generally, when I'm telling you when you're sewing a piece onto another piece, you have to make sure you don't see the lines. If you're using this yarn, you're not going to see any yarn, so it's very forgiving. And I'm going to just outline the head here, around the head. Making sure it's fairly even there. And now I'm already wishing that I would have done this a little bit longer, but again, I haven't stretched it yet over the body, so we're gonna stretch it this way. All I have to do is push this in a little bit because this is going to come up to about there. Oh, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect, you guys, because then we'll stretch the sides to fit. So now that I have the top there, I'm going to leave this loose. I'm going to go ahead. First, I'm going to show you how much yarn I have left. I have all that left. I mean, it's not a lot really, but I mean, this is a pretty heavy, substantial amount of yarn, but I don't think I'd be able to make another one. I might be able to make one on my 22 needle machine. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take another piece of yarn here, because it would be so cute to make a baby one. And I'm going to then go to the bottom. I'm going to push this up, which means I'm going to have to squish my stuffing just a little bit. And we're going to attach it in the center here first, just to get a starting point. Bring that up, tie a knot. I'm going to just shove that inside of there, bring this up. Then take a look here. Yep, I think I can make that work. I'm going to come on this side. I'm just eyeballing this as I go, but you're going to be able to watch and see. And you'll see the method in my madness in just a second. It's all in my head. I know it's going to work. So I'm going to sew this piece down. Oops, knocked my camera, so sorry. And I'm getting into the corner here. I'm going to attach that. Just like that. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. It's actually the perfect length. And I'm going to, I thought it was going to be too short. I'm going to bring this underneath and into the center. Just like that. And then I'm going to sew this one the same way. Friends, you can see that taking shape already. All right, so what we need to do next is grab your sides and just pull out to give it a good stretch. I took a smaller piece of yarn here and I'm going to just take the center. I'm going to tie this center right here. Tuck that in. And then I'm going to bring this center up to where I want it to be, which is going to be, let me attach it and then I'll show you. Going to make that knot, put it in the loop there while I can to fasten. So there it is. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then I have my points that I'm gonna work towards. So you can see that we're gonna just be stretching this and pulling it up. We're gonna sew this on like that. We're gonna sew this side up like that, as far up as we can get it. And we're gonna do the same with the sides here. Next time, maybe I wouldn't stuff this this guy quite as full in the body, because I do wanna put just a little bit between the layers. And we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna take a little bit of stuffing. I'm just gonna, because I want this back part here to be more rounded than what it is. So I'm just gonna take a little bit, not a lot, and I'm gonna stuff it up in there just to shape that arch of the back. You can already see the difference that made. A little bit down here. And then I'm gonna put some up here, do the same thing. And you can see that's looking more like what it should look like than to have it flat. I'm just putting it down in the center here. I'll do a little bit more right at the base here. Right there. I think I still need a bit more. It's surprising how much you can actually add. Pop that knot inside there. Look at that. Made a little bit of a difference, a lot of a difference actually. So now I'm going to take my yarn tails that I left, and I'm going to move this up, and I'm gonna do one side at a time. I'm gonna do that side, then I'm gonna move over to here, and I'm gonna stretch that over, pushing in my white part as I do so to make it all fit. And I'm gonna do that for this side, and I'm gonna sew that up. And when I get that all sewn, I'm gonna meet you back. All right, so I have all my tails hid, but this next part was not in my brain when I thought I was gonna do this. But if I would have made one of these before I did it with you, I would have added this to my thoughts, which is why I do one before generally. But I'm gonna take, because I have lots of this yarn left, I'm going to take a piece, and because it's nice and fuzzy, we're gonna do some sewing, because this isn't good enough. I don't like this the way it is. I'm gonna put my needle in there. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna bring it down to where I think I want it to be. I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna go down, and I'm going to sew on as though there was an extra piece here. And I'm gonna outline where I want it to be and go all the way around my piece, making the edge where I want it to be. Look at that. Going in, coming out. This will actually be a nice, to be honest with you, it will be a nice detailing effect too, because we're gonna have a round piece going all the way around that's even, because I'm gonna do this all the way around my piece. I'm gonna come up into that next stitch, go down, come up into the very next space, and come over into the very next one. So these stitches are quite close together, and I'm not pulling this tight. I'm just letting it be nice and free like that. All right, friends, so sometimes you just have to trust the process. Now, I'm still in the process, but I want to show you what I was doing, because I started doing what I told you I was going to do, and this is where it came up to. And then I thought, no, this works so beautifully. I'm going to make this section a lot smaller and this a lot wider. So, and you can't do that by doing a full panel on your, or a tube on your 46 needle machine, because we only have 46 needles. So this is the way we're going to do it. So I took my yarn and a needle, and I made a border all the way around where I wanted it to end. Now I'm just going to fill it in. And you don't have to fill it in by going lines like that. With this yarn, you can just go back and forth. You can do however you want, because you don't see the stitches. And we're going to have the cutest, I'm telling you, the cutest little hedgehog you ever did see. So I just wanted to pop on and show you that that's what I did, and I think you should do that too. Make a border as to where you want this to put this piece the way you want it to be. It looks like a little peanut. That's what I'm looking at right now. And then we're going to just fill it in. But I am having fun playing with this. And I think that when you start something and you just get a vision and you add to it to make it better, it's worth the attention to detail. It's worth the extra effort. So I wanted to show you what I did here. I would encourage you to do it and then fill it in. Then I'll meet you back. All right, friends, I have that finished. I am so happy with how this is looking. This is how much yarn I have left. Like, this is a solid cake. There's lots in there. And I probably, like, I'm not going to need it. But I just wanted to show you, like, this is what it's coming along looking like so far. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to make the ears and the arms and the legs. All right, so grab your machine. Doesn't matter which one, because we're going to do a flat panel to make these little pieces. So you can use any machine. All right, so I'm going to do that and grab your acrylic yarn that you used for the body inside. So I'm using white. So we're going to start with the arms and the legs. We're going to make 4 of these that are a flat panel. I don't put my machine in flat panel mode. I leave it in circular mode, and I bring my black needles in line with my yarn guide, and this middle black needle is the middle needle that I will use. And we're going to go over 11 needles, so I'm going to go 5 on either side of that middle one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by doing that, we will count, every row will count as we work this. Now you can do it anywhere in there if you don't want to hear the clicking of the black keys, because by the time you have it done, I mean, you can easily count it out without the row counter. But we're going to cast on in front of that first needle, then behind the next, and then 3, 4, 5, this is the middle one, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now let's change our row counter to 0 here. Then you're going to pop this underneath that red divider into the yarn feeder. Take this one and pop that underneath as well, and that sets up that loop to knit your first stitch. All right, so then this is the last stitch knit. It's going to be the first one in this next row, but it's the last one that we just cast onto. So when this yarn is underneath that red divider, then you can go back. So now that's going to pick it up, and we're going to just knit this row. I have a very loose tension on this. Here's my first needle. So when it gets under that divider that's right beside it, there we go. Now I'm ready to go back. A little bit of tension on that first needle, and then you can loosen it up a bit. So this is 2, and my counter counted it. Here's my last needle. So once it gets under that divider, I can go back. 3. Might have to help the end ones. It's under that divider. 4. I didn't screw this down, but that's clamped this down, but that's okay. I'll just be careful. So this is the last needle. It's underneath that divider. This is row 5 and 6 and 7, and I'm going to knit 21 rows. And 21. All right, so we've done 21 rows just like that. I'm gonna take a tail here. What did I just drop? Oh, my needle into the garbage. We're gonna cut a tail off, take it out of the feeder, make sure you shut this. Then you're going to take this back to this first needle here, and I'm going to rotate this 1 full round. All these stitches are ready to come off now. Don't rotate too far, because these needles will pop off and it'll pop it up and pop that little loop off the red teeth. So I'm going to just thread my needle here, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up these stitches. Just like that. So we have our flat panel. You're going to make 6 of these, or pardon me, 4 of these, all right? So you're going to do a flat panel over 11 needles, 21 rows. You're going to make 4 of them for the arms and the legs. Set those aside, and then you're going to do the same thing, 11 needles, but you're going to do 17 rows, okay? So For the ears, you're going to do over 11 needles and you're going to do 17 rows. The arms and the legs are 21 rows. The 2 ears are 17 rows. All right, so make sure you keep those all separate from each other so you don't get them mixed up, and set them aside. And once you have them all done, we'll meet back together and assemble. Let's take one of our arms and legs, give that a little stretch. You're going to cinch the one end, the one with the longer tail. Pop that on your needle, and we're going to mattress stitch down the side here. Let me move this tray. We're going to mattress stitch down the side here. So go ahead and join your 2 ends. So I'm going to go into this side here, and I'm going to just pull tight, do it again, and pull a knot. Just like that. Make a knot just like that. And we're going to do the mattress stitch down the side. So to do that, you're going to find the row where the wide part of your stitch goes to the left, and here's the point. So there's my V-stitch right there. I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to go into the center of that stitch, pick the first one and the second bar, and pull through. Don't pull too tight yet. You're going to go to the other side, and you're going to find it where the stitch goes to, the wide part of the stitch goes to the left there as well. You can see. You're going to get into that first one, you're going to pick up a bar, into the second one, pick up a bar, and pull through. It's important that you had a knot here, because that's where when you tighten down the side here, that's where it will end and it won't pull in here together. All right, so here's where we came out of this stitch right here. You can see, here's my strand. I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up 2. Here's where I came out. I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick up 2. Here's where I came out. I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick up 2. And 2. I'll go about halfway down. And 2. And 2. Now I'm going to pinch at the top, and I'm going to pull on this strand. And that closes that up and makes it into a tube, just like that. Now you're going to go back in, and you're going to finish all the way down. So here's where I came. If you just move this aside there, you can see here's where it came out. So you're going to go in, and you're going to pick up 2. And 2. I'm going to continue that all the way down my piece. Now, if you have one extra stitch on one side, it's because when you tightened this, you were 1 stitch lower than on one side than you were on the other side. And for this particular project, it's not a concern. So you just make it work the best that you can. I can see that I have 1 extra here. So on this side, I'm going to just pick up 1. And then on this side, I'm going to pick up 2, just so that I can get it even. And then I'm going to pull that. Here's my drawstring for this side here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull it tight, smooth that out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot with these 2, making sure that I don't pull on this one so tight that it gathers it in there, the work that we just did. So take these 2, tie a knot, don't pull too tight yet. Second one you can make tighter. Oops, see how that gathered already? So give that a little pull back out so that it's stretched. Cut that shorter one off. Then you're going to take this piece and you're going to just put it in half the best that you can. Maybe stick your needle into this end here to help guide it. And then when you pull that through, you're going to get that needle up into the center there, just like that, and pull. Then you're going to put this in half, just like that. Take your needle back through the center. If you didn't cross it over to grab a piece. I just want to sew these two ends together. So just go over a little bit, then come back in and come down, so that you can sew those two ends together and they don't creep up. There we go. Now you've got your little piece that is ready to be stuffed, except for you're going to take this piece and you're going to come up to the top here and you're going to just attach it on the side and make a little knot to fasten, because if you don't, I've got my knot there, so then when I'm sewing it onto my piece after I stuff this a little bit, when I pull on this, it's not gonna gather it in there. I've got a secure end. Go ahead and do that to the other 3 arms and legs. All right, so you can see that I have placed on 1 arm, 1 leg, and 1 ear, and I'm gonna show you now how to do that. I'll show you how I assembled the ear, because it's different from the legs. But we're going to take the one for the arm, and I'm going to lightly stuff this. I always push it in, and then I squeeze it and take off whatever's at the top. And we're going to take that arm, and for the arm, we're going to sew a flat seam. So I'm just going to put this on the edge, and then I'm just going to pick up the top row, just like that, go back and forth, and close this off in a flat edge. Once I get to the end, I'm going to pop a knot in there, and there we go. Here's where I mattress stitch together, so I'm going to have that facing down. Then you're going to pop it into the seam of your white and your fur, and you're going to have this corner up at the neck and that corner, just this whole edge against the side there, and you're going to make sure they're angled at the same. I tried to follow the angle of the fur there, but we're going to just go in there, and we're going to pick up, and then on the edge, you might run into that fabric center of the fur, and if you do, just move your needle a little bit and make it work. And there we go. Pick up on the edge, pull through. The edge, pull through. I'm going to make sure that those look like they're lined up properly. What I do here is I'm going to go into the neck seam there first. And then I'm going to go up about 2 stitches, pull it through. I always cut these things off too short. You'd think I'd learn. And then you're going to go back in and come out at the center there. And then when we pull on it, it kind of takes away that curve of the shoulder. See, there we go. It rounded it off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this strand up to the center of the arm. And we're going to just make sure that it is at the same angle, and I'm going to sew it down. So I'm going to just go into the body, pick up a good strand, and then go back up into the arm. Pick up about 3 bars is what I've been doing. Go back in, come down, go a little bit higher. I'm being careful because this strand is so short. I'm going to just take a look at those 2. I'm going to come up onto the point of that hand. And then once it's positioned where it needs to be, I will finish that off. There we go. I'm just going to carefully knot this off and hide my ends. Now we're going to take our bottom leg Put a little bit of stuffing in there. You're going to position that one just along the edge of the seam here, just like that as well. So cute. And we're going to sew it around. So I'm going to just start down here and pick it up. So this we're keeping as an open loop. We're not seaming it like we did the arms. I'm going to just seam it all the way around, just like that. And tie off my ends and hide them. And then I will show you how to do the ear. All right, friends, let's take our ear piece. So we've got our little square like that. You're going to take your one strand and you're going to just pull it just to make that an even, nice edge. We could have used waste yarn, but on little pieces like this, I choose not to. And then pull that one and make it a straight edge. So there we go. You can see all these loops of our stitches, all 11 loops. We're gonna pay attention to those when we seam this together, but we're gonna take the corner and move it up to the corner. So cross it to make a little triangle like that. Then all I'm going to do, keep that one out of the way, is I'm going to go into the side here and then into the loop. Then into the loop, or you can come around again, go on the side here, and then into the loop if you want a nicer seam at the top. That's what you should do, because then you get that crossover seam there. I'm going to go over and come into the loop. Leave this one attached just in case you have a shorter one here. This one should be able to do the whole thing, so I'm not too concerned about it, but we're going to use that other one for cinching anyway, so just leave it attached for now. And then I'm going to come across and go into that loop. Come across into that seam there, go into the next loop. You're getting a very nice seam here that you're not going to really see anyways because of the way we're going to fold this, but into that last loop there, and then just get it up into the corner. Put a little knot. I'm going to take this one. If this isn't long enough, carry this one, up and then go down the side, but I'm going to take this one and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go into the seam and into the loop. And I'm going to go all the way down to the corner. When I get there, I'll meet you back. Once you have your triangle, just like that, you're going to just take this strand and you're going to just weave it along the edge, the straight edge that's at the bottom of the point, and bring it out. Now you have two strands. This is why you needed your second strand. It makes it easier. You're going to pull that as tight as you can pull it, and you're going to tie these two. Now you can hide this shorter one, so we're not fighting around it. We're going to now go across from this end to this end and just pick up the corner, bring it in together, and just secure it again. Just like that. And just do one more. I don't want this point up there, so I'm going to trail this up in between the two layers. Just off to the side of the point. Pull that through. Then I'm going to go to the other side of that point and go back down to the bottom edge. You're just going to take that and you're going to just lightly pull it. And you see that just took away that point. And that's all I want to do. So now, just to secure that so that it doesn't keep pulling, I'm going to just tie off with a knot. And you've got your little cute little rounded ear there. So you're going to take this ear and you're going to place it. This one was a little bit tighter here, so I'm going to just tighten that one. Make sure they're both the same size. Just going to tighten that just a little bit, just like that. And I'm going to sew it on. Just like so. There we go. I chose to sew it on off camera because these videos get way too long. But I did not cut off my tail here because I always make sure that I sew them both on. And that's with, I didn't on the arms here because that was obvious. But on the ears here, I just want to make sure that they're centered. And if I have to take one off to either or off, then I don't tie my ends in, hide my strands until I know they're both where I want them to be. So now I'm going to tie a knot and I'm going to hide my strands. And I think the ears are perfect. Okay, for the nose, I did a flat panel over 9 needles, not 11, a flat panel over 9 needles, and I did 13 rows. Now I'm sewing it up the side to make a tube. So flat panel over 9 needles, 13 rows. You're going to go ahead and you're going to finish sewing it up the side here, just like this, into a tube. And then you're going to do the same thing you did with the 4 legs. You're going to turn it inside and make it half. Cinch both ends. Tie them off. Once they're tied in a knot, you're going to put it inside itself like that. And you have a tiny wee little nose. I put some stuffing in that nose. See? And I'm going to place that down, and I'm not going to have that squished in like that. I'm going to let this kind of fan out. And then I'm going to seam it around. If I fan it out, as in letting this edge go a little bit wider, then that will make the top of the nose look a little bit pointier. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to seam this on. Once I get this sewn on, I'm going to tie a knot, hide my tail, and I'm going to grab a little bit of pink yarn. Okay, so go ahead, finish that. And of course, your nose is centered between the arms and the legs. That's perfect. Sew it on, hide your tails, grab some pink yarn, and your eyes. I'm using 15mm eyes, which I'm just going to sew on. They're just like button eyes, like I mentioned, and I'm just going to sew them on where they go. Don't need to be on camera for that. I'll have that those on by the time I come back to you with my pink yarn, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, well, I will pop on and show you. They're really close to the edge of the nose there. You can see that, and they're out to the edge of, almost to the edge of the fur. But I trailed my yarn up from the underneath here after I knotted it, and it's up to here. So now that I sewed that one on, I'm going to go straight across to this one. Because when I pull that, it'll push this little end into the fabric, and it'll give it a little indent so it looks like the eye is sunk in just a little bit. And I like that with these little button eyes. So let's just see if that's where it's going to go. About there. So I'm just going to sew this on, come through. Make sure it's in the right place. Sew it again and again. And then I'm going to trail it underneath, back underneath this eye here, and pull it, and then this one will sink in a little bit. And then I'm going to tie a knot and hide my end. All right, so taking my pink yarn, I'm just going to, actually I have to come up under the head here so that I have a place to tie off. I'm going to come up right into the center of that nose. I'm just going to make little stitches all the way around. All around and into that point. Close together, you don't want to see any weight between the little lines, and you're just going to make a little pink nose. See, just like that, all the way around, into the point. And you see how I'm getting a little pink nose there? That's what I want on the end. And then, friends, what you're going to do is you're going to do some fine detailing. So take a look at your piece, see what needs to be done. I need to tack that down right on the end here just a little bit because it's wanting to flip up like that. So I'm just gonna tack those down a little bit on the ends there, and I'm going to add a little bit more fur so that it's straight across there. I don't like this round part. I'm gonna go more straight. Make it a little bit lower and closer to the eyes to make the face a little bit smaller and a little bit more hidden. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's called fine detailing, and it's very important to do that. And then I'll see you back. Now by adding that little pink tip and going into the center there, it pointed our nose off. Look at that. And that's what a hedgehog has. It has a pointed nose. So that was what I was wanting to accomplish, and that is what happened. Pull through, cut off, lift up on this end. Now I'm going to go ahead, fill this in, and meet you back. You guys, look at this. Look at this little cutie. He turned out cuter than actually I was anticipating. I knew it would be cute, but I think that this is absolutely adorable. And you know what did it? Lowering the fur a little bit lower here. Oh, I got to tuck that little piece in. A little bit here. And then another fine detail that I did is I took my blow dryer. I literally blow dried this fur all over. I took my fingers and I brushed it like this first, just because some of that fur is poking underneath from when we were working with it on the machine. And it's been flattened because we've been playing around with this thing and as we've been working it, etc. Oh, gotta tuck that little knot in. And taking the blow dryer, I literally had it on high heat and I blow dried this whole little guy, front, back, side, top, front, bottom. I did it for about 5 minutes and it transformed this fur. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it literally brought it to life. And I'm so happy with it. Oops. This cute little hedgehog is 10.5 inches tall, and around the widest part of its body, it is 19 inches. It's the cutest little thing you ever did see. All right, so friends, thanks again for joining me. One thing that you can do is post your finished project in the community tab on my YouTube channel. There's a community tab there, and you can click on it, post, talk, interact with each other and with me, and that would be fantastic. And if you're posting in other Facebook groups, then please always add the link so people can find the tutorial. I would appreciate you so much if you did that for me, and it just really does help my channel, so thanks for considering that. All right, thanks again for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial and that you've learned some new techniques. Take care, have a blessed day, and friends, I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye now.